very much. I'm going to present this in English just because I'd struggle if I was doing it bilingually, so it was making a choice one way or the other. And I wanted to set the scene before starting. And basically, this is a proposal, if you like, or a way of thinking about how we might organise a joined-up approach to some of the issues that we're having in English medium schools. I'm sure you will all be aware that there's been in the past many reports that have not been very positive about what's going on in English medium schools. And there's been lots of iterations trying to address some of those issues. Some have been successful, some not so successful. But the proposal here really is drawn from lots of discussions with Matthias and others in the team. But basically, how can we organise a curriculum for the students that is communicative and based around a core content? Seeing learning Welsh as a continuum over a long period of time, you know, from primary school going on past further education and into lifelong learning, and that continuum, you know, it's many faceted. I understand that, but introducing language at specific times for a specific purpose that is constantly growing and constantly getting into more depth, but introducing it very, very carefully as a planned approach. So that's basically this proposal. To set the scene, my journey with EPI started with my prolific use of Twitter and reading as many blogs and things that I could find about education and learning language, which led me to Gianfranco's blogs, you know, back in the early days, sort of, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, starting to read some of those and learning a little bit about what EPI is. From there, I connected with others, Matthias included, you know, the team that adapted the book, Caris, Heledd, and Glenn Wall as well, all through those connections, and talking about those things and being practitioners in the classroom, you know, having somewhere to discuss what was, you know, it's a real problem that we need to address. From there, I made connections with Laura, I've forgotten her surname now, but she held a training day down in Swansea with Gianfranco, and I snapped at the opportunity to go and listen to him. And we spent a day. I've blogged about that, so you can go and have a look at my blog if you wish to find out about what that was about. But that's when I really had a deeper understanding of EPI starting to grow. Following that, there was a group of people nagging, you know, would I ask Gianfranco if we could adapt the Spanish sentence builders book? I muscled up enough courage and asked, and, you know, we went down that road, and it was a very long year of hard work, hard thinking, challenging ourselves to try and arrive at the product. Anyway, before I go into that in a little bit more detail, it's important to give a background of what EPI is and what it isn't. I'm not an expert. Some of the slides I'm sharing are courtesy of Gianfranco, so you know, if I've misinterpreted something that he is saying, please forgive me for that, but it's only my growing understanding. You can see there that it's a communicative approach. It is not about academia. It is not about creating translators. It's about creating users of language that communicate on a regular basis in a normal fashion. It's very process driven. It's about being fluent, and I think it's important to stop there and just say, not fluency doesn't necessarily mean being hugely able in a language. You can be fluent within a small range of sentence patterns, a small range of vocabulary. So it's that gaining fluency and that speed of recall and, you know, acquisition in the end. Task supported, obviously, and this is really also important, using the power of implicit learning and priming. So the whole aspect of EPI is built on Nations research, and basically talks about listening and reading speaking and writing, mastering the form, the syntax, and understanding the grammar, and then working on the fluency. And an EPI is definitely based around all of that. Now, it's not an approach. It's a framework, and this is the framework, the Mars-EARS framework, and is based upon lots of cognitive science, lots of language acquisition theory, and classroom practice. Basically, I haven't mastered the whole framework. I'm working my way through it and trying to understand. I think I'm at the point now where I'm beginning to explore what the structured production is about and how you can manage that carefully, and the expansion and the autonomy. So I'm around there where I'm still developing my own practice. It's a long old journey to get into it. So from there, basically, Gianfranco proposes that we base or design curriculum around communicative functions. I found this particularly interesting and helpful in designing curriculum myself, for curriculum for Wales, and how I go about it. So the majestic 12 here are the communicative functions that Gianfranco talks about, but these can be adapted, and they are basically real life situations, times in your life where you would need to use language, not made up, not contrite, not shoehorned in, but situations in life where you would need to use this language. And so being able to design a curriculum around those communicative functions and building fluency within those is massively important. So we then went and turned to start adapting the book. I hope you've all seen the book and at least bought a copy to have a look at. But you could see the book and not really understand what's going on. It's not a textbook. It's a workbook. It's a workbook to support the framework. And so if you were thinking that the book itself was going to give you everything you needed to run a course, that's not it. It is a support book to enable you to get into some of the micro functions that we looked at that were on the slide earlier, because each skill can be broken down into a micro function, and then we go about processing around those micro functions to build up the capacity and build up the familiarity with them on trying to reach that fluency within that thing. So just to show how it works, you can see from the table of content that we have the communicative functions. So each unit is based upon a specific communicative function, and you could do the book from start to finish, I suppose, using the units as part of your planning, or I've actually started dibbing in and putting different units together around communicative functions, just because that, for my context, is better. You can see then that there are units of work. Each unit of work has a sentence builder that models the work and works through the MA part of the framework. We've also added in some extra grammar points. So by the end of using this book, we would want the children to be very familiar with board and GAN, which are obviously very important in terms of communication. There are questions, sections that develop questioning, and there are sections then that offer opportunities for them to revise different things. So that's why the book was organized as it is. And is a great place to think about how you can organize it. Here's an example. So the sentence builder there, you can see, is almost like a worked example, if you like. It's a worked example of the sentence patterns that we want the children to be able to use and to become fluent in using. You can see at the bottom, we went to great lengths to try and get into the variations, the regional variations, the difficult grammar. So for instance, we kept with the straight numbers here instead of giving cyntaf, ail, trydydd, etc., because we felt even in the second unit, for somebody who's just starting out, there's a massive load of things there. When you add in the mutations and everything else, it's a lot. So everything is modeled correctly. And then the aim is to work the chunks, develop the chunks. And then as they put the chunks together, they are able then to communicate within those things. I mean, Matthias will be smiling when I'm talking about the deep discussions about what to include, what forms to include, how do we get around the grammar, etc. Following the sentence builder, there are a number of activities. There's vocabulary building, there's narrow reading, there's writing, and some translations bits as well. It's just want to note at this point, it's that some of the activities work on form and some of the activities work on meaning. So we don't do them separately. We kind of tandem them as we go along through the framework, so that, you know, focusing on all of the micro skills for reading, for listening and for reading, are really, really important and an integral part of the EPI framework. So from the book, you've got the answer book there as well, so you can access the answers, so you can put that up for the children, etc. So I'll move on because I'll run out of time otherwise. One of the next steps that we took then was Martin Lapworth created the Sentence Builders site, which all of the books for all of the languages that we have been updated. And Sentence Builders basically is a platform that allows you to practice. I won't talk too much about it now because I've got a little video later for you just to see some bits. Sorry, if I can just go back a slide a minute. So you can see there that all of the topics that are in the Sentence Builders book are live on the platform already for you, including the grammar points, and each one of those generates a load of activities that you can use that are based on EPI. Not all of the paragraphs are full. I've got through 4, but they take ages to develop those paragraphs, but they are worked examples from paragraphs from the Sentence Builders. Yeah, so inside there is a sentence builder for each one. They're not all exactly the same as the book because we had to adapt it for the platform, but they work in exactly the same way. Sorry, it's gone on automatic. Here we are, just find myself right. In each then topic, in the activities tab, you've got a range of listening, translation, reading, dictation, and production in the form of writing. Each of the activities just basically model and remodel and recycle all of the sentences that are possible from the sentence builder. You can create assignments, which are great for homework. You can also do competitions. Sorry, I do apologize, my PowerPoint's got a life of its own. So with the competitions, they are things that you run in a class. They are basically the children get to choose what activities they do. That accrues points, and then that kind of does a league table. Great for some, 10 minutes, quarter of an hour of activities in the classroom, whereas the assignments are set. There is another aspect of it that isn't shown here, which is the circuits, which the children can go into and then practice the same kind of activities they would have in the assignments. You can also generate worksheets. There's a load of different types of worksheets. It's just a couple of examples here that you can then print out that work exactly the same principles, but I like working on paper as well as online. In addition to that, we've also put all the content of the books on the Language Gym platform. This is different in that it works the fluency more. It's kind of more about working out with the languages and with the chunks of language to try and build up the speed of recall. You can get free units for the book on the Language Gym website as well, and that's accessible to everybody. And that's where the sound files will go for the listening book when we get there as well. The answer book is available for free. You no longer have to buy that, so you can download that as a PDF and use that with the book. Yeah, these are the types of online games that you get with the Language Gym. I'll come on to that now because there's a little video just because I want to fit that in. So hopefully I've shared the sound and this will work. So here is the Sentence Builders site. There's too much for me to go through everything that's on it and all the functionality. But just to let you know that the units from the Sentence Builders book that we made are all available in a slightly different form than the book. Some things we've taken out, some things we've added just because of the way that the site works. But all of the units that are in the book are captured here. So just by way of a taster, When you click on it, you get access to the sentence builder. It's got some functionality.
The enw. Ydy. Gareth.
So by clicking on different elements, the children can hear. So it works well for front of class. Things, you've got options to print the sentence builder. You've got options to make worksheets based on the sentences that are produced. So for instance, there's a match exercise and you can see all the ones that are available there. You can change the amount of questions and you can also produce an answer sheet. So that's really, really handy. But obviously, it's the activities that we want to look at. So I'm just going to give you one example of an activity. In each menu, you get 3 choices. Not all the paragraphs are available, but you certainly get vocab chunks and sentence builders in each of the one. I'll go for a sentence builder, listen and translate. So when you click on the skill that you're looking at, there's various activities that you can do. They go from easy to more difficult. I'll just do a word gap to start us off.
Enw fy mrawd ydy Steffan ac mae e'n 7.
So you can repeat.
Enw fy mrawd ydy Steffan ac mae e'n 7.
You can also adjust the speed. So I'm going to go a little faster just because you can cope with that.
Enw fy mrawd ydy Steffan ac mae e'n 7.
So then if they click on the wrong answer, it shows them, but if they get the right one, it moves on. They can listen to it chunk by chunk.
Enw fy mrawd ydy Steffan ac mae e'n 7. Enw fy mrawd ydy Steffan ac mae e'n 7.
And then they could move on to the next one.
Enw fy nhad ydy Berwyn ac mae o'n 10.
So there's a whole range of activities, and obviously those activities are available for each unit. You can create competitions for classes once they're on the site. You can also create assignments which are good for homework. You can share a link to it, and you can also copy any resources that are there to adjust for yourself. So as you can see in the resources, clicking on Welsh, you can access those. But in addition to that, if you go to resources and click down to community resources and Welsh, you can see here that I've added some others that are not covered by the book but are useful for my purposes in school. I'll just click on some just for you to have a look. So here's one on the types of music that I've created with questions, and it's got all the same functionality as the other sentence builders. Flipping over to the language gym. So if I go to King's Room, you can see that you can access Welsh here. The sentence trainer and rock climbing are not yet available, but these 4 are available here. The boxing game is, as it says, the children just practice speed recall of chunks translating. And you've also got the verb trainer, which vocab trainer, which does the same. But I think the most useful one here is the listening translator. You can have a look at more of these. Again, all of the book, all the units from the book are included. So basically just extra practice on the chunks that are available within the sentence builders from the book. I'll just do a quick one. We'll start on the first unit. So you get this choice of activities. Choose sentence puzzle, for instance. You get some choices that you can adjust the speed, the amount of sets that the children do, etc. And you can adjust the speed of the text to speech. So basically they just select the correct order for the sentence. This one.
Dwi'n 13.
So you can see that if they get it wrong, it prompts them and then they can try again for a different one.
Dwi'n 5. Dwi'n 6.
So it gives you then a scoreboard for anybody who's in the class that's working. You can go on to the next level, which means you'll have more sets and they get more difficult. Or you can go back to the menu and choose any of the others. I think they're self-explanatory. They're all based on the EPI type activities that are promoted through the work of Gianfranco. So that basically is the quick look at the. So we have, I hope that gives you a flavour for how the content that was in the book is then presented in other platforms in order to generate that variety of sentences, and the fact that we've got what is the best quality TTS that we can get on both of those platforms. It isn't perfect, but it's definitely workable. Yeah, and I find it very useful, and the children have said the same. So basically what we're doing now is we're trying to look to develop the listening book, so that would be along the same ideas with the content, the sentence builders, etc. Here's just a little look at a section from there. There's a teacher's book and a student's book, which is what you see in here. So they would access the sounds on the Language Gym website, and then there are a range of activities then that work the micro functions for listening there. We have started on the primary book. We've done all the sentence builders. It's just a matter of finding some time to get into the activities now. But this is almost like a stripped down version of what's in the book. So in the primary book, we've presented a simple model, simple sentences that would be appropriate for younger students. In the main sentence builders book, it's the same, but then we've added more content. So you can see that the children just communicated maybe in the first person mainly earlier on, but then as they move through, they're starting to get exposed to the third person and developing their understanding of the verb as they go through. And I think that's about it from me, apart from just to say, that's a really, really quick view, and it's very hard to condense so much because it's been a 3-4 year long journey. But the main thing that's come out of it for us is that we're working on what is a core content. We can argue all day long about what that core should be, but I'm trying to make a case here to say that having a core of language that we are working with our early learners is vital in making sure that that continuum of learning, that progress in depth of understanding the language and being able to use it has the best opportunity to thrive. If we're just hitting bits here and hitting bits there from the grammar of our choosing, or it's based around topics, themes, then sometimes the language is not being transferred from one place to the other in a meaningful way. I can just give you a quick example. I've still got children now who can say AC i'r cinema, but can't say AC i'r traeth, because the one was talking about hobbies and the other one was talking about holidays. And because the themes are what the children are focusing on and not the actual communicative side of it, it seems to slow down the progress that they're making. So I don't know if I've succeeded, but I hope I've given you a taste of what we've done. Yes, there's room for improvement. I mean, I even looking at the sentence builders book now and using it in the class, there's bits I want to change. There's bits I want to simplify. There's bits I want to develop. But that's the nature of it. So I'm going to stop talking at that point. Diolch yn fawr iawn all for listening.